It's News 360. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our major news bulletin for the day. My name is Pa Kwesiasari.
And I'm Aisha Yakubu Khalid. Coming up in the bulletin this evening.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint
and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
United Nations draws ECOWAS's attention to unintended consequences of sanctions on humanitarian operations as its sub-regional bodies' military chiefs firm up decision on whether or not to intervene in the Niger political crisis.
Also coming up, Nigerian residents in Ghana stage protests calling for unconditional release and reinstatement of ousted President Mohamed Bazoum.
What happened in Niger, we don't like it at all. We need democracy. So far as the Nigerians, they vote to their president. The president's supposed to stay.
Meanwhile, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has urged military deployment in the Sahel region to combat terrorism and strengthen networks.
Chieftaincy conflicts and tribal clashes, among several others, make us susceptible to exploitation by terrorist groups.
In business tonight, Ghana's aviation sector expected to rake in about $500,000 monthly following Niger airspace closure.
And elsewhere on the international front, at least 1,400 people starved to death since International Food Aid suspended food relief to northern Tigray region several months ago because donations were being stolen. We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit our social media pages on Facebook and on Twitter. Now to our big story for the day. And the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff of ECOWAS has just finished meeting to make a final decision on whether or not to intervene in the Niger political crisis. Now, the military chiefs began an emergency meeting in Accra yesterday aimed at strategically outlining an intervention plan for Niger, which will then be presented to ECOWAS leaders for approval. Now, we're going to go live to our colleague Martin Isiedudata, who's been in the meeting since afternoon. Martin, what else do we know?
Conversation on restoring democratic rule in Niger. They repeatedly indicated that this is the final overture they are making to Niger. If the country still refuses, or in their words, plays cat and mouse games with them, then they will have no option than to deploy. Amongst other things, they are asking for the release of the ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, who they say is still under house arrest by the military junta. Now, you'd recall that when the chair of the Political and Peace Council of the ECOWAS was speaking to the media at the beginning of the meeting, he said that it looks as though the junta is playing cat and mouse games with them, giving indication that anytime they say they want to dialogue or negotiate, they send a delegation and they are turned back or the door is slammed in their face. So after this meeting, the generals have concluded that if the final meeting from tomorrow is fruitful, then diplomacy wins, or diplomacy, which has been on the table all this while, is the way to go. However, if that fails, they have no option than to go. They talk about the commitment from the member states. They are ready. They've given their commitment in terms of personnel and accoutrement and logistics, which they say is all in readiness. They are doing this all alone as ECOWAS. If they get assistance from other democracy-loving nations and unions like the AU, they will accept it. But as it stands, they have everything in order and are waiting only on the orders of the heads of ECOWAS to say go, and they will march out. So after 9 hours of waiting, I mean, they started the meeting around 10 in the morning here at the Burma camp base. And after about 9 hours, they came out with these conclusions that everything is set They are just waiting for the officials to give them the go-ahead, and they will deploy their men. They are saying that as regards when exactly they will be deploying, they cannot tell because it's an operational secret. How many troops they will be sending, that is also an operational secret. They can't give that out, but they are confident that with the commitment of member states, everything is ready and they are just willing to roll out if the go-ahead is given. On the back of that, they talk, amongst other things, about how they do not intend to go to war. It is not an issue of wanting to go to war, but they think that it is time for a line to be drawn somewhere to stop these recurring issues of coup within the ECOWAS sub-region. We are unable to tell specifically what else they will be doing beyond this, but they say after today's meeting, the final communique will be presented to the heads of states and governments of ECOWAS. Then based on that, if a final order is given, their men are ready, the generals are ready, and they will be rolling out. Say they have the support of every member state, and that is what is the conclusion of this meeting that has been on for 2 days now. The generals have just left the premises, heading back to their various countries. We have it on authority that in the early part of next week, they will be meeting the leadership of ECOWAS in terms of the political heads, I should say, and present to them their final agreement or strategy. If it is confirmed or accepted, then they go. Final point of note has to do with funding. How do they intend to fund this war? I asked that specific question about who or which country is giving them how much in terms of even troops and logistics and financing. They found a way to go around that question, but only said that they have the funding and they are ready to roll out. So from the Burma camp base here at Accra, my name is Martin Esiedudate. Thank you.
Right, so you had Martin Esiedudate there reporting live from that meeting of ECOWAS Chiefs of Defense Staff. He's also been actually been conducting a number of interviews. He spoke earlier to Dr. Fatal Musa.
Planning mission we started on the 2nd of March, of August, has come to an end today. We've already agreed and fine-tuned what will be required for the intervention. The strategic lift capacity, what the strategic objectives are, equipment needed, commitment of member states, which was very, very, very encouraging. All member states of ECOWAS present here today have all committed elements. They have committed their own equipment. They have committed their own resources to undertake this mission. So I tell you, we are ready to go anytime the order is given. The D-Day is also decided, which we are not going to disclose. There will be no more meetings of the Chiefs of Defense Staff. If there will be, it will be probably in the course of the operation if there is the need to adjust the operation. This is the second extraordinary meeting and the final meeting before deployment. That is what we want to, inform you about, and that as soon as our heads of state and government are satisfied with the report that has been presented, our troops across the region are ready, and they are ready to call, respond to the call of duty of the region. We are not against the Republic of Niger. We have said, just as the chief of the committee, the chair of the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff has just said, that all the options are on the table. And as we speak, we are still readying mediation mission into the country. So we've not shut any door. We've not shut any door at all. The sanctions are also on the table. And if they respond favorably, to the request by the Authority of Heads of State for dialogue, we are ready to accept. All we are saying is that we are not going to engage in endless dialogue. It must be fruitful, and its objective must be the restoration of constitutional order in the shortest possible time.
We're still staying on Niger as scores of Nigerian residents in Ghana have staged a protest calling for the unconditional release and immediate reinstatement of ousted President Mohamed Bazoum. They lauded the Economic Community of West African States for taking a firm stance against the military junta while reaffirming support for military intervention to restore democracy in Niger.
The support for deposed President Mohamed Bazoum was evident. The protesters, mostly Nigerians residents in Ghana and supporters of the ousted president's Nigerian Party for Democracy and Socialism, condemned the coup in Niger.
What happened in Niger, we don't like it at all. We need democracy. So far as the Nigerians, they vote to their president, the president is supposed to stay. After 5 years, if they go to vote, everybody that is win, they give the power to him. But it's win, the Nigerian people elect him to come to president for them. Why that these soldiers wake up, they want to spoil our country? We not allow in that. We not allow any soldier to come be president for us in Niger.
We not like soldier, this leadership. We are in democracy. I would not like the soldier to stay in our country. They should go back to their place where they are coming from. The soldier people should have to protect the civilians, not to come to sit in the office, V8 and these things. You know, like that.
They want democracy restored and the immediate reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum.
Bazoum, my president, we want him back. We don't want we don't know anyone. He's our father, our everything. We want him back. That's the only thing we want. We don't want the soldier. We don't know him from anywhere. We just want this man. He's our everything. So we want him so badly to come back for us, to save us right now. We want to go back home and see home, so we want him.
We go demonstrate today or tomorrow or 1 week since. They should drop the soldiers for us. We are supporting ECOWAS, what they are saying, because of what? Every country, they need democracy. We in the Africa, I think that just take it that I born in Ghana here, 47 years old. But in democracy in Ghana, we are in peace and justice in Ghana here. So Niger, they should bring the Bazoum Mohamed in power.
The protests come at a time that ECOWAS chiefs of defense staff have been meeting to firm up a proposed military intervention. Security, meanwhile, has been beefed up at the Nigerian embassy.
So there's currently increased police presence here at the Embassy of the Republic of Niger. We do understand that the Chief of Staff of the deposed president is currently here in Ghana. Early on, scores of demonstrators who are Nigerians resident in Ghana have been protesting with just one call. They want democracy restored in Niger. From the Embassy of the Republic of Niger, Portia Gabo, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has warned ECOWAS against the unintended adverse impact of sanctions on Niger, which could stifle humanitarian operations. The UN warns that some measures could cause logistical impediment and additional obstacles. It urges ECOWAS and member states to ensure all sanctions, including standing exemptions for humanitarian operations. Now, this follows concerns raised by the African Union and security experts in the Sahel region. Let me now walk you through highlights of the United Nations letter to the president of ECOWAS. It first of all talks about the unintended adverse impact